Keoghan.
Hey, Phil, what's up?
Everything actually. It's been I'm ahead of you by 9 hours, so it's just so you know, your next 9 hours are going to be good.
Oh, I love somebody from the future. This is pretty cool. Yeah. I see this on TikTok where people come from the future and tell us what's happening. You are probably so we're gonna talk about Tough as Nails because I think the show is great. But are you shooting Amazing Race right now, like in Europe or something? Is that why?
I am. That's exactly right. Yeah, so I've a little bit of a juggle going on because of shooting this and then Tough as Nails launching, like, didn't get a lot of warning about it coming out in the summer, which we're super excited about, but it's just like it all happens so quick. It's like, what?
So the show comes out, by the way, for everybody listening here, the show, 2-hour premiere on Sunday. So Tough as Nails, which I think the show is awesome because it's basically people at a high level doing the stuff like where I grew up did. It's like hardcore work, but super physical, and there's like endurance involved. Like my stepdad worked at the mill, but if you like multiply that times 20 and then you put you as the host, that's what Tough as Nails kind of is. So where did the idea of Tough as Nails come from for you?
Well, I come from working class people from New Zealand, so descendant of coal miners and gold miners and carpenters, builders, farmers. And my grandfather was one of my best friends growing up. I spent a lot of time with him. He was a mechanic and an auto mechanic in World War II. And I just learned a lot of life skills from him. And truly inspirational man. Is really a real inventor. Loved modifying tools and constantly thinking about how he could change the practical world. There's that practical world intelligence. And he was the brightest kid in his middle school and got a scholarship to go to high school, but just because of the time, he was not given the opportunity to go to high school. And it always just really pissed me off that some people would talk down about people like my grandfather, who was really bright and extremely well read, but never got a chance at a higher education. And it just irked me that sometimes people are judged based on whether they have a piece of paper from a university or their education rather than who they are as human beings and how they contribute to society. So this was really about everyday people in every life every day who literally keep our country running. And it took me a long time, Bobby, to sell this show. I pitched it for a good 10 years before it finally sold. And one of the reasons that I think it was a bit of a challenge to sell was because nobody goes home on our show. We have two mutually exclusive competitions, and it just resonated. The show has just resonated because I think it speaks to, rather than sort of aspiring to be like a celebrity or tapping into our fascination with celebrity. This is like your family, like people that you know in your family and people I know in my family. Most people, real people in real life who are real tough. And so it's in its most basic form, it's the people we know. It's the people we know out in the real world.
Do you find, because I had a show on Nat Geo where I learned a lot of stuff. It wasn't even about me, but I would just go and do. But do you find that you know how to do everything now because you've been with people doing all these tasks? Like a little bit, you're a Swiss Army knife. Maybe you're not the best at it, but you can do almost any sort of physical, building, cutting, moving.
Yeah, I mean, I do actually describe myself as a bit of a jack of all trades and an expert of nothing. I have a real fascination with the practical world and with people in general. So I marvel at people's life skills, and I'm tremendously interested. And yeah, I know about the show that you did too, where you get to connect with really fascinating people, and for a day you kind of get to see what the best of the best are like doing a particular thing in life, and then you can try your hand at it, and there's something super exciting about that. So yeah, I love the practical world. I love seeing how people have figured out how to make the world work. Is really fascinating to me.
Yeah, like when I learned how to TIG weld, which I don't even know what that was, but like I learned how TIG welding works, and then even like commercial diving, where it's construction under the water. Like my stepdad worked at a mill, but I learned exactly how hard that is and how important that is. What are some of the things, and I'm being selfish with asking about you specifically here, but what have you learned from being able to be exposed to a lot of these vocations that were like, dang, it's so important to like our economy and our society.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. We came out of World War II and we got into a sort of the high life and trying to, we were all aspiring to like getting past World War II. And there was this sort of period where it was all about it was all about that disposable sort of world where you would use things and then you would throw them away. I feel like we need to get back to more of where my grandparents came from, which was through the Depression, where you just didn't throw stuff away. You found ways of repurposing things and really utilizing the resources that we have. My grandfather had 3 sheds in the backyard. And in those 3 sheds were bits and pieces of things that he'd bought, and maybe he didn't want to throw away the washing machine because it had a water pump and it also had a handle and it also had bits and bearings and it had other things that he could break down and then figure out what he was going to do with them, where the big bowl of the washing machine would then become a planter, for his nursery. Constantly thinking about how you take things from one thing and use them for another. That is an amazing intelligence that I feel like a lot of kids are not being taught because there isn't necessarily the need, or there are options. And, one of my favorite quotes is from Sir Ernest Rutherford. He's a New Zealander. I'm originally from New Zealand. And he said, we didn't have money, so we had to think. And I feel like we need to get back more to that. It's like the people who have the least are the ones that are the best at solving problems. People who have money tend to reach for their wallet to fix problems because they go, okay, I've got money. I'll pay somebody to fix this problem. People who don't have money, they think less about reaching into their wallet and more about, what do I have and what can I do with it? And how can I come up with a practical solution? They're forced to think because they literally can't just buy their way out of a problem. So that's really at its core is really what we're celebrating on Tough as Nails. These are hardworking people who are prepared to risk their lives for others and run into a burning building, people who are on construction sites, people who are building roads. They are literally the elite of the elite, the best of the best in their chosen trades. The whole goal of the show, Bobby, is that when people watch Tough as Nails and they appreciate seeing somebody who's really like an elite athlete in a job site, that they'll never drive past a building or somebody working on the road or somebody fixing something or a farmer in a field without kind of going, wow, that's how that person makes their living. And man, if they didn't do that, we wouldn't have food on the table.
Man, that is for sure. Like driving a combine, I did that and had to actually learn how corn. I was like, man, I ate a lot of corn. I never really appreciated corn until I had to actually go and do the corn work. Just a big fan of you in general. And you guys check out Tough as Nails. It's Sunday. And then not only that, it's on Paramount Plus as well. Do you mind if we talk about Amazing Race for just a few minutes? Do you have a minute?
Of course not. No, of course not.
So I have a lot of friends that have been on Amazing Race. And so, it's really the test of time. And this show has just lasted and been so strong for so long. Lunchbox is a massive fan. Do you have a question you want to ask?
Oh, yeah, Phil, when I arrive on the mat one of these days, my dream, and Lunchbox, you are team number 1, and you won a trip to Fiji from Travelocity. I mean, I cannot wait for that moment, Phil.
Well, what do you think your chances are? Who you gonna race with?
Well, I would say my wife, but we would end in divorce because we would fight too much. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's who I got to figure out. Maybe my cousin Andrew, because he's kind of low key and he's very good at things. My wife would be better with her sister because they get along. But Phil, I got a question on these dancing challenges and the singing challenges, the musical ones. Do you ever just feel bad for a team and tell the judge to say, yeah, go ahead and let them go through?
Those are probably some of the more frustrating, difficult challenges. We're pretty tough on them. And, the most important thing is to be consistent with the judging. So that people feel like, there is a measure, because it's not like a 100-yard race or a 100-meter race, I should say, where, you got Usain Bolt running and, like he's the fastest over that distance. It is a subjective thing. There are some nuances and the differences, but we try to really put in certain measures that are judgeable so that it is fair, because at the end of the day, there's a lot at stake. and these people really care. And there's nothing worse than seeing somebody go from the show. So we try to keep it as fair as possible. But, that it is challenging with singing and dancing.
I'm good friends with Caroline Hobby and Jen Wayne, who've been on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Who've been on the show a few times. And, they've often stressed at how fair and legitimate the show has to be because there's money being given away, right? There are actual rules. And even as nice as you are, that you have to be like, these are the rules and I have to remain as unbiased as possible. Do you find that to be a struggle sometimes?
No, as long as you have clear boundaries, you basically draw a line in the sand where everything is, then it's way easier. I think where it gets tough is adjudication and competition shows is such a crucial thing. Fairness. I say it at the beginning of Amazing Race, and I say it at the beginning of Tough as Nails, and every competition show that I've ever done, I always say to all the contestants, at the end of the day, when we crown a winner, it's important that all of us look to that winner and feel that that winning team or that winning individual deserves to be the winner, that there's no question, there's no, they got there because of some bad calls. That fairness thing is so, so crucial. And so we take it really seriously. We have legal representation. It is, at the end of the day, a sanctioned competition. So you have to have very clear lines about what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable, just so people feel confident that they're in a competition where they feel it's legit. It's no different than, in a sports match, when a referee makes a bad call, there's this feeling like, what would have happened if that call was better? Or, we go crazy if the ball's a little deflated, or if somebody was just on the line. I think we like fairness. As a rule, people like to know that it's fair for everybody.
With all the places that you've been, because I read it was over 100 countries, have you ever felt unsafe while doing one of the shows?
I've been in some pretty hairy situations over the years. I think it's 140 something countries now. I started in television when I was 18, and I've been on the road ever since. I just turned 56, so I'm getting to almost 40 years of being on the road, and a lot of places. I've been everywhere, but I think people are always very surprised to find out that America is not the safest country in the world. So I always try to put it in perspective for people. I would say, do you think of America as a safe place? They'll say yes. And I go, well, do you know where America is on the safe list, on the safe country list? And they'll go, well, it's got to be, I don't know, top 3. And they're always very surprised to find out that it's not anywhere near top 3. And yet America is safe. And I use that as a springboard to just say to people, there are lots of places that you can travel to in the world where you are safe. If you want to get into trouble, you can easily find it in America too. I mean, there's a lot of street smarts involved about not just living in America, but also traveling the world. Certain things you do and you don't do. And yeah, there's been hairy situations that I've been in before, but I've had some of those situations too in America. I've done a lot. I've filmed in every single state of America. I did a live TV show for in the morning for 3.5 years. Went to every single state and did all live TV, and so I got to see America up close. I also rode my bicycle across America, so I have seen America up close. And I can tell you, there's places you have to be careful. I think that just comes down to just being super aware wherever you are in the world. Doesn't matter.
Phil, back to Amazing Race. Let's talk about all these challenges. Like when they're doing the zip line or whatever, or doing the bungee across the canyons and stuff. Before the contestants do it, do you do those?
Dude, I do.
Yes.
But our schedule is such that a lot of times I wish I could do more. But early on in my career, I kind of exhausted the whole. I had a near-death experience. I wrote a book with a list of things to do before I died. It was an inspirational book about getting other people to do things before they died. And I went on this. I had this massive checklist, breaking a world record. So my friend created commercial bungee jumping. back in the 80s, late 80s. And so I jumped with him back then, and we broke two unofficial world records, bungee jumping and diving the world's longest underwater caves and having dinner on a volcano. So I kind of exhausted a lot of things through the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. So to be honest with you, as much as it would be cool to like just check out of work, I actually get a real kick out of watching other people do things, to be honest with you, as well.
So you do sit there and watch them? Because I'm wondering, like, when they're going all day for 12 hours, what's Phil doing? Is he just sitting at a nice restaurant having a glass of wine waiting for him at the finish line?
Basically, I'm by the pool. I drink mostly pina coladas, although beers are also fun. So a lot of people don't realize that the show is 12 shows in about 21 days. So on average, let's just call it 2 days a show. That includes the traveling that we're doing. Season 5, we traveled 75,000 miles, which is literally like going around the world 3 times. I think going around the equator is 25,000. So it's a lot of travel, a lot of driving, a lot of distance. I'm literally married to my phone. Like right now, I'm getting updates about where all the teams are.
Oh, which team's in first?
Okay.
Exactly. I can't tell you that, Lunchbox. You'll never be on the show if I reveal that. Somebody's going to put some concrete boots on you and throw you into a river somewhere. But yeah, I'm basically following along all day, every day. You got to understand that I know less about what the teams have been doing when they come to the mat than the audience, because the show's cut later and the audience gets to see things that I don't get to see when I'm standing at the mat.
Awesome.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that really makes sense. Now, one last question. Sorry, Phil, I'm such a geek. But
Bobby, are you good? Because I thought this was your show. And
he's obsessed with you, and so okay. I'm going to let him ask one more if that's okay with you, Phil.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just want to make sure, Bobby. Okay. I want you to. I see your name on the show, and I want to protect it.
That's okay. Go ahead, Lunchbox.
No, Phil, we need to bring back. I don't know. Maybe you are this season, but we need to bring back where they have to go through the airports. This private travel really makes it too easy on teams, because them deciding whether, do I make a switch of a plane or do I go the direct flight that's going to take a little bit longer? It adds so much drama to the whole show.
Lunchbox, you are correct. And rest assured that the airports will come back into play.
Yes.
We had this, there was a pandemic going on.
I know, Phil. I know, Phil. And then, Phil, you know what drove me crazy, Phil, is when you brought some teams back, like after the pandemic, and they didn't train. Like they knew they were going to have a chance to come back, and they didn't train for the comeback. And I was like, come on, guys.
Lunchbox, once again, I can't argue with you. You're everything you're saying is correct.
And then
you're absolutely right.
And then, Phil, what do they in the hotel rooms after they've been running for 12 hours? Do you give them like a masseuse and everybody to like because I know the one team for the first time ever, I saw a team bring a foam roller, and I was like, "What? So smart."
Yes, no, that's a very smart move. If you ever come on the show, Lunchbox, you're probably going to want to bring one of those. But we leave them to rub themselves down. We don't provide rubber downers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. So
Tuck, are you good now? You good?
I mean, Phil, I could go all day, Phil. I could go all day, man.
Okay, look, here's the deal. On Sunday, Tough as Nails. It's a really good show. It's Sunday, depending on where you live, it's 8 Eastern, 10 Pacific. But also, it's going to be on Paramount Plus on demand. You can stream it live on demand. And Phil, big fan. I would imagine in your life there was a lot of people randomly coming up to you like Lunchbox and yelling things at you to put them on the show or things they think about the show.
Yeah, mostly people come up to me to ask me to eliminate them. I'm not really sure why they want to be eliminated rather than being told that they're team number one. And if I don't do it seriously enough, then they actually have made me do it again. And, they want the raised eyebrow. They want like a serious tone. They want me to eliminate them. So I'm not sure what that says about the people who want to be eliminated. But I get a lot of that, to be honest with you.
Phil, thank you.
And in the most bizarre places.
Like bathrooms. People will be like, hey, can I get a picture?
Actually,
like,
yes.
Urinal.
Bobby, it happened once. I will be honest with you. I was at the urinal once and just minding my own business. And someone pulled up there and so to speak. And they were like, hey, man, in the middle, midstream. And they were ready. I was like, okay, can we just shake this off and then maybe we'll do it later?
Phil, big fan. Tough as Nails on Sunday. Good luck. Hope the show lasts for 20 seasons. And thank you for your time, man. You're the best.
Well, thank you. And just want to say that we are going to be airing Sundays and Fridays. They've got us like twice a week. So Sunday will be the premiere, and then we'll be Sunday, Friday, Sunday, Friday, Sunday, Friday for the rest of the season.
Dang, twice a week. Nice job there, buddy. Dang.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go. We haven't done that before, but they got us twice a week, so maybe it'll hook people in.
And respect.
And it's 8 o'clock, which is a good time slot, but we're venturing into the unknown.
Let's go. That's awesome. All right, there he is. Phil, good to see you. Have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yeah, hey, and congratulations on your success. And just watch out for that Lunchbox, because pretty soon it's going to be the Bobby Lunchbox show.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in trouble.
No, it's not, because I'm going to leave for Amazing Race, Phil. I'm coming to race around the world, baby.
All right, bye, Phil. See you later.